Okay, there we go. Welcome to the Blogging Bunch Hangout. Today we are here with Christina from It's a Keeper, and we're so excited to have her here. And we are going to be talking about food blogging specifically. We haven't really yet. We haven't gone into any niches in any of our hangouts so far. We've just kind of talked about like social media and kind of general, this is how you WordPress plugins and things like that, but really kind of focusing on a niche. I'm excited for. Plus, I'm getting ready to start a food blog, so this was totally like, hey, what do I need to know? And I know Christina, and I know that she will help. So that's where we're going. So say hi.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, Sarah. I appreciate it.
We're so excited. And so food blogging. Okay. How do we get started? I have these recipes. Like, I know that I have struggled with pictures. Like, pictures are such a big deal in food photography, and finding recipes and finding time to cook and then getting it all organized and putting it up and then the same things that every blogger has about promoting and things like that. But how do we get started? Where should we really start? Like, is there a certain theme that we should use if we're using food blogging, or any kind of theme goes?
Well, when it comes to getting started, I think the first step is to just do it. I tend to be my own worst enemy when it comes to starting new projects, and I make it much bigger than it needs to be in my head, and that prohibits me from starting. So the first thing to do is just get started. When I first started my site, it was back in 2010, and it was this kind of funny story. It was after Christmas, and I was doing that whole Christmas cleaning frenzy, and I found all these piles of recipes that I had stacked up throughout my house. I'm a recipe hoarder. I can't control it. It's bad. So I took all these recipes, and I sat on my living room floor, and I popped in a video, and I was watching Julie and Julia. And as I'm watching the movie, I'm sorting through all these recipes and just getting them organized, and I think I had over 400 that I went through, but I just organized them into file folders. And as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to blog my way through this pile of recipes just like they did in the movie. And then I'm like, but what's a blog? So I had to do a whole lot of Googling, and that weekend, It Is a Keeper was born, and I just, kind of evolved from that point. But that was the thing. I just had to just start. I just picked a recipe out of the pile, and I think it was like a crusty mustard chicken and creamy polenta, and the chicken was good and the polenta sucked. So I just worked my way through it, and I've had a lot of different themes throughout the years. I think when it comes to food photography, though, and food themes, the photography is the key. So it has to be, your theme has to make your food look appetizing and your posts look appetizing. So I was kind of all over that answer.
Did you start with like, okay, I'm just going to do dinners, or I'm just going to do desserts, or I'm just going to, like, did you pick kind of even a niche within the niche, or just like, hey, I don't know, it's a recipe, I'm going to do it?
Yeah, at first I did not have a niche. I just said I was going to cook my way through that pile, so I tried different things. I didn't even know who would even read a blog at that point. Like, it was probably going to be my mother and my sister, and it turns out that it was so much more. My mother didn't even read it at the time. So it's one of those things that I just kind of got my feet wet and played around with it, and then I found what resonated with my readers, and I just dug into my analytics. I'm an analytical person by nature. So I dug into those analytics, I saw what people were responding to, and since then I saw what I responded to and what I like to do. Because if you're not passionate about it, it's not going to go anywhere. So I found myself, at the time I was working full time. I had a son and I was busy and running here and there, so easy weeknight dinners tended to be my thing. I really like to do that. So now I find myself doing easy recipes. Like, I can make pasta from scratch, but that's just not me on a day-to-day basis. So those easy, quick 30-minute dinners really seem to work. So that became my niche after a while of finding myself.
Okay, so good. So trying, and see what people, check your analytics, check, what pins are going wild, what's working for you, and do more of that.
Yeah.
Just pay attention, and I know I've seen some of your spreadsheets, and wow.
Yeah, I am a spreadsheet junkie. I'm a recipe hoarder and a spreadsheet junkie. I could run my life on a spreadsheet. I love them.
Wow, yeah. It is helpful, but okay, so food photography. So well, let's start before we get there. We have recipes. Okay, you said you collected recipes. Were these recipes just that you found in magazines, or recipes that you had written down, or grandma's recipes, or?
Yes. It was all of them. I collect recipes everywhere I go. So I have them ripped out of magazines. I have them printed off the internet, clipped from the back of pasta boxes. I was at this is a funny story too. I was at my grandfather's funeral, and a man came up to me, as I'm saying, they're shaking everybody's hands and sobbing. A man came up to me and he's like, "Here's that recipe for the rum cake that my wife wanted to give you." So yeah. I've collected recipes at funerals. I have them written on everything. Any scrap of paper I can find, I'm snapping pictures of them. So I collect them everywhere. And, it's okay to use them from anywhere, too, as long as you cite the source. So, like, I've used, recipes that I've seen other bloggers do, like the Pioneer Woman or something like that, and I just cite in my recipe that this is where I got the where I found the recipe. And I link back to them.
So you do, like, list out the ingredients and the directions, and say, this is from the Pioneer Woman.
Yes. And most of the time I do tweak. I'm a tweaker by nature. I go through and I find things that I like, and I always add more garlic. Whatever it calls for, I add more. Or I take out things I don't like, or I know my family won't eat. And I usually make those notes in my recipes. Either if I'm making it exactly like it called for, I might say, hey, this is how I made it. We weren't crazy about it. Next time I would add X, Y, Z to the recipe. Or if I say, I use this, I might say adapted from the Pioneer Woman, and, where the recipe started from there, but then I tweaked it a bit, and this is what I came up with.
Okay. Yeah, because I've always been really, scared. I don't want to, post somebody's recipe, and I don't want, if I got it on the back of the box, sometimes I'm okay, or I go and look on that brand site to say, here's the recipe. But yeah, because I do some recipes, but not enough. I know, and it's a big draw. People, it's big on Pinterest, it's big on everything. People are always looking for recipes, and so it's a big thing for people to get into.
Yes.
Okay, and then, so it's okay to use recipes. Oh, you freed me.
Yay.
So then, pictures. Are you taking pictures, as you're developing? My pictures always, our kitchen has no light at all. Everything turns out yellow or blue, or just not right. So how are you, and then I look at Pinch of Yum or Give Me Some Oven, and there's our massive sets of pictures. So how do you kind of get started and not feel so down on your pictures?
Well, I guess the first thing is you need to learn to use your camera. So whatever camera you have, learn to use it, whether it's your phone or a point and shoot or a big fancy DSLR. Learn how to use it. Learn how to use it so you can capture the light without using the flash, because that's what's going to give you shadows and that harsh lighting. So you need to learn how to use the settings, taking it off that program mode, and really get into it. So, take some time, take a couple of days and play around with it. I've taken online photography classes. I've taken in-person photography classes. Anywhere I could get help, I look for it. So that was a big thing for me. I started out having my husband take all my photos. He was the amateur photographer in the family, so I would make the food, call him in, he would photograph it, and then I would post it. That got to be cumbersome when I had a lot of recipes, and I would have to wait on him. So I learned how to do it more myself. Learning how to use your camera, taking classes. Styling is everything too. You really want to make your food, the whole thing is to make it look appetizing, and a lot of times that can come down to the styling and the angle of your shot. So instead of just taking your shot head on, you might want to get down, move around and get over the food, get to the side, I probably take at least 15 to 20 photos for every post I do. And I don't do the in-process shots. That's just not me. My kitchen's a mess. I'm a mess. Nobody needs to see Nobody needs to see that. That's just not me. I do the after shots when everything is all done and prepared. So I try to get different angles, different views. I play around with different underlayments, like underneath. Do I use white? Do I use a wood grain? Things like that. Napkins, styling in general. So I just play around with things, and you learn to find what you like. And when you find something that works, just keep going at it.
Do you have a set spot in your house that you almost always take the pictures, or how do you do that?
Yeah. So if you talk to any photographer, they're going to tell you to find the best light in your home. So finding that window where you get the good light, where it's not direct sunlight, it's not that bright, harsh sunlight, that you're getting nice filtered light. That's not always feasible for me. Usually the things I'm photographing, since it's dinners, it's around dinner time. And I live in northeastern Pennsylvania, so in the winter it gets dark fast. Today it's terribly overcast. So I can't always use natural light. So I started out with a homemade lighting system that I did, where I had 2 desk lamps with these bright daylight light bulbs in them, and I can share the details for that with you. Yeah. So I had these 2 desk lamps coming in from the side, and I had white foam board just to reflect and everything, and that was working for a while. And then I eventually invested in some nice photography lights that I use. So my setup is nowhere near a window. It's just off to the side, and I use my photography lights now for everything. So I don't have to, I could do it in the middle of the night.
Okay, because that's what I'm struggling with too, right? Like my new blog is cocktails. Well, you don't really make cocktails at 9:30 in the morning to take pictures, right? So I got these the cowboy studio lights, the big umbrella and the big lights, and I take the pictures, and you can see the umbrella in the reflection of all the pictures.
Yeah, so that's, because you're using glass and things like that, so you're gonna see the reflections. Look online, check YouTube and stuff like that. And a lot of times you can find videos for, to teach yourself how to do anything. I can also share with you the link of some of the photography classes I've used. And she talked, the one class I went to, it was in person, but she does have an online version of her class. And she talked about where to put your lights and reflectors so that you're getting the best light, and it's not too harsh and your lights aren't creating shadows. I'm one of these people that I like to set it and forget it. So when I find something that works, I like to go with it. I'm very regimented like that. So when I found a place where my lights worked, I do not move them. My whole family is told to stay away from that area. Just don't touch my lights, and just leave them set where they're at. And it's, once I found it, I just I took a picture of it too, just so I could always remember where exactly they were.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, because I keep having to move things around, and I've got foam board. This whole side over here has lights and foam boards, and right when people walk in the door too, it's not pretty. But
no.
So what about prepping your recipes? Do you do you do it every night? This is what we're having for dinner, so I'm going to take a picture of it, or do you do 5 on Sunday, or what?
Well, I'm a fan of meal planning and batch cooking, so I do a lot of my cooking for my family on Sunday, a lot of my prep work on Sunday. But usually what I'll do is Saturday night or Sunday morning, I sit and make my meal plan for the week, and depending on what my family's schedule is like, if it's not busy, I'll try to work in 1 or 2 blog recipes into my meal plan so that I can, work through them. If it's a busy week, then I don't have time to be stopping in the middle and photographing everything. So, I just leave them out then. What I do, though, is I try to photograph everything, especially if you're just starting out. If it's your family's favorite meatloaf recipe, photograph it. Take the pictures. At least you have them. And if you decide you want to write about it, great. I can't tell you how many photos and how many recipes I have just kind of stockpiled on my computer of things that I may use, I may not ever use them. You know, when I took them, I thought the photos were great, but then as I've evolved, I'm thinking the photos are really bad, so I might not use them, or I might go back and retake them, like reshoot the photos. But my advice is to just photograph everything. I mean, use those recipes that are tried and true that your family loves, because if you love them and you're passionate about them, that's going to come through to your readers.
That's true. Yeah. I posted something the other day. I was like, "Oh my God, all my kids ate this." No one complained.
That's a great story.
Nobody complained, although one did pick out the almonds, but he didn't complain.
That's good. That's the kind of stuff you want to share, because you know, you're saying that, so other people are feeling like that too.
Yeah. I've had lots of chats on Facebook about dinner time and drama that ensues around dinner.
Oh
time.
Yeah.
Okay, so
definitely, I hear you.
We've got our pictures, we've got our recipes, we've got it up. Do you add like little stories about it, or do you just have like the recipe? How do you post? What's your post kind of thing? I know you have a template for that.
I do. Well, I like to. It depends on the recipe, I guess. So I tend to like to tell people about what it tastes like and what my family thought about it, you know, when they ate it. You know, that's the whole premise of my website. Is it a keeper? You know, and it might not be. I have recipes that I've posted that suck. They are really, really bad. And my family just didn't like them.
You go ahead and say, like, we hated this, but you might like it, or?
Yep. That's how my website started. So I was going to share whether it was good, bad, or ugly, and just let you know what I thought about it and what my family thought about it. And, you know, we might not have liked it, but you may. You know, I have texture issues. So when I made that polenta, those first recipes, I had a very hard time eating it because of the texture. And probably because it was cold and gummy at the point that I got to eat it, because it had to be photographed first. So I eat a lot of cold food because I usually get the plate that was photographed. It looks pretty, but it's cold by the time I eat it. But yeah, so like I said, I you know, you just want to just get out there and do it and share it and tell the story. I usually like to talk about the flavor and, you know, is it spicy? Is it, you know, salty? Is, you know, just letting people know what they can expect when they eat it, so they can make the decision for themselves if it's something they want to try. There is nothing worse than going, you know, finding this beautiful image on Pinterest of something you want to make. You know, you're hungry for it, you click on it, and it might look pretty, but nobody tells you like what it tastes like. Like, is it, like what to expect when you're going to eat it. So I like to see that.
Okay, that's a good point. Yeah. Okay, we've got our posts, we've got everything there. What about promotion? Like, does Facebook work for you? Does Pinterest work? Instagram? What do you find that works best?
I find, for me, Pinterest and Facebook are my top referring social media sites. I've kind of gotten into finding what each social media network could do for me and what I can do for that network. So for instance, you know, Twitter's great for connecting with brands. I very rarely get people clicking over to my recipes from Twitter. It's just not the network that works for me like that. It may work for other people. Instagram, I kind of use as, I don't really promote my recipes so much over there as the look, like the behind the scenes kind of look. You know, get to know me more. You know, maybe like my kitchen might be a mess, or you know, you had a good day cooking if 26 spatulas are in the dishwasher. So, you know, those kinds of things. The real me. But Pinterest, definitely. Facebook, yes, but the trick with Facebook is consistency. So, you know, you have to be consistent for it to work for you.
Do you do Holly's?
Yeah, I saw her video on that, and you know, I tried to work that in and make that work for me. So I started with her template and then just kind of, you know, watched what it was doing, checked my analytics, and played around with it until I found something that worked for me. And it's ever evolving, because Facebook always evolves.
Yeah, I did I started it at Thanksgiving, I guess, and then about Christmas, I posted on the Blogging Bunch about like this is the Facebook strategy. Like here's Holly Homer's video, and here's how I kind of adapted it, and here's where my engagement was, and here's where it is now. But I'm not finding people click over to my site.
Yeah, it's Facebook is fickle. I think all the social media sites are fickle. I mean, even Pinterest, when they changed their algorithm, I noticed a huge dip in my analytics from Pinterest. So, you know, I learned in another group, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You know, just, you know, try to work them all evenly. You know, so you have you're doing something on Pinterest, you're doing some stuff on Facebook, you're making sure your posts are SEO optimized, you know, so you're getting the search engine traffic. You're promoting it in, you know, Facebook groups and things like that.
Yeah, just being consistent across the board, which takes so much time.
It does. It does. I think you're better off doing like 1 or 2 posts a week and doing them, promoting them well and focusing on them than doing a whole bunch of posts only halfway.
Good point. Yep. Good point. And pinning it a couple of times. Like don't just pin it one time to one board. You know, you've got to have a pinning strategy.
Yes. Yes. And there's some great classes out there on that too. You know, and just, you know, finding that strategy that works for you. And a lot of it's trial and error too.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Good, good, good. Okay. Was there anything else we wanted to talk about?
I think the only other thing I wanted to mention is, you know, use an editorial calendar. Make it be your friend. It helps keep you ahead of the curve for holidays and things like that. Like right now, I've got my Easter post planned, and they're going to be going up soon, so getting ready for that. So you always, you know, making sure that you're organized and, you know, staying ahead of the game. So I use my editorial calendar religiously.
Do you stay, like, for Easter, you post, what, 4 to 6 weeks ahead?
Yeah, I try to stay at least, you know, about 4 weeks ahead of the holiday. You know, you really have to get a jump start on it to get the posts out on your site, and then you can, you know, push that calendar a little bit further back to promote it on social media so you're getting closer to the holiday. But you want that content out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, having the plan, that really helps, and you know what you're going to write about. You can say, okay, I know at the store I need to get this, and I need to be making on Sunday, I'll make this, and then I'll take the pictures, and then I'll edit the pictures on Monday, and I'll, you know, so that you kind of have a batch, right? You batch each day.
Yeah. Yep.
Set up the post and put the pictures in and do the SEO, and then the next day come back and, you know, write it in recipes. So really having not getting overwhelmed and then staying ahead of time, right? Staying a couple weeks ahead, then you're able to stick with that schedule and not get it can get so overwhelming and you feel like you're constantly behind.
It can, and that's kind of when I get off my system, when I stop using my calendar and things get in the way, because it happens, and then I feel like I'm constantly chasing my tail. It's Monday, I have to get this post up, quick, run, and God forbid I have to take pictures that day. They never look right, It's Murphy's Law. Everything's going to be stacked against you when you're forcing yourself to do stuff on a timeline. So it always helps when you can stay, ahead of the curve a little bit, and especially if you're working with sponsored content. If you're working with these organizations for sponsored posts, you have to be, I think, more organized even than you would be, if you're just doing something just for the fun of it.
How much sponsored content do you do?
I try to keep it to like 1 to 2 posts a week, but I don't like to really go over that. So again, being organized and making sure you're meeting those deadlines and all the requirements, and I like to make sure I don't have too many desserts going out, or everything's not breakfast oriented. I like to try to get a good mix. So my editorial calendar helps with that too. So just finding a calendar, and it can just be something. Either a spreadsheet, which is what I'm using now, go figure, or like an actual wall calendar, or it doesn't have to be a big fancy $50 thing. It could just be whatever came free with your grocery order or something like that. Right. Just find it and use it.
Is there one network that you think works best? Like that you get most of your sponsored posts from, or? Is there?
I use a mix of them. I get sponsored content coming from, or opportunities coming from, several different sources. So I use, like, there's Clever Girls, there's SITS, there's IZEA, there's Collective Bias. I'm sure I'm missing some. These are just Blog Her, different things that are out there. So, just start applying for them. And the key to getting those is just making sure that you're building a social media following, and that you're taking good photos and you're telling good stories. That's what they look for.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be big numbers. You don't have to have
Nope.
big numbers, but you need to be doing a good job. You need to be blogging consistently, and showing that you can tell a story around it.
You want to be authentic.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I had one more question about that, but it kind of ran away. And to get started with that stuff, I like to tell people, like, just find stuff that you like and review that. Like, practice. Yeah. Do practice sponsor. Make your own sponsored, or do a giveaway. Like, have a gift certificate. Somebody gave me a $25 gift certificate for Whole Foods, so I'll do a giveaway for that. Like, just as a practice, and it doesn't have to be, working with a.
Exactly. Yeah, you can, and I've done that on my site to get started. I just kind of, found a product that I was passionate about, and at one time I think it was my slow cooker. Like, I love her. I gave her a name, so I wrote a post about that and, like, put some of my favorite slow cooker recipes in there. And then that's a great place to use your Amazon affiliate links and to build those into those kinds of posts. So it's not like it's a sponsored post, but you are hopefully going to be making some sort of income off of that post and make it work for you.
Yep. It doesn't matter if you bought it on Amazon. You can always find a link for Amazon.
Yeah. You can.
Post and do it, because you don't know. I had a post go crazy in the last month. Gluten-free crock-pot recipes. It went crazy in the last month, and it was a year-old post.
Yeah.
So you need to put, do everything for every single post, because you don't know when something's going to go crazy.
No, and you don't know that, and it does help to to have your post optimized. One of my best posts has some horrible photography, and I always say I'm going to retake that picture again, but it's just so popular. I don't know what it is about it, but everybody, it does wildly crazy on Pinterest. Whenever I share it on Facebook, it gets a ton of shares and likes, and I can't figure out what it is for the life of me, but people love it, and I'm not going to knock it. But
I need to go look.
Slow cooker beer braised short ribs.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Slow cooker stuff, man. Like.
Yeah. And that one in particular, I don't know what it is.
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and lots of tips. I gotta go. I'm like, I gotta work on my sidebar and put pictures in the sidebar too, so that people can click on, like, your top posts and.
Yeah.
Those are good things. Your top recipes, put those things in your sidebar, so that people know what's going on. So that's my next step, and working on the pictures. I was just trying to take some pictures earlier today of soup, which is not. Yeah, soup is hard.
Soup is tough. It is tough. Yeah, that's because it always looks flat. There's no way to make it look full and robust.
Yeah,
it just looks flat in the bowl.
I tried something, because I was doing some food photography courses, and she was like, put a bowl underneath, like popcorn or something like that, and with soup, like, by the time I got the pictures, it had all kind of fallen off. So.
Yeah, I know, it's tricky.
Anyway, just keep working, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Yeah. Just
keep doing it. You'll find it.
Oh, come on. My Skype wants to install something. Okay, well, thank you so much, Christina, and everybody go check out itisakeeper.com and check out her slow cooker recipes, and she's got tons of recipes too, so there's lots of fun stuff to find, and family stuff too, not just recipes, mostly recipes, but there's family stuff too. Okay, thanks so much, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.